Well, hey, Carrie, imagine meeting you
Hey,
here
Bob.
on the backside of Humphrey. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Life Redesigned for those of you who are stopping by the first time because it is summer and everybody checks out Life Redesigned in the summer. I am Bob.
I'm Carrie.
And in 2022, Carrie and I sold everything that we owned. We hit the road full time in that RV right there, known as Humphrey. And well, we're just average people recording things in our journey for you to enjoy on YouTube. Carrie, it is that time of year again, and I'm seeing it from all over the YouTube.
Oh, no.
Apparently they are doing it again.
I'm afraid.
People are having problems getting over the border into Canada, that mystical, magical land. And today we're going to cover everything that we can from our experience of traveling in and out of Canada for 17 years. And we're going to help you avoid looking like a YouTube idiot when you hit that border. All right, now when I think of Canada, I think of beaver tails, I think of Canadian Tire bucks, I think of the old-time Walmarts that have those emojis that just like to roll back the prices, something we miss here in the States.
Yeah.
But our friends in the north have beautiful places, and Carrie and I have RV'd all over Canada, from Toronto to Bonneco Provincial Park, all the way out to Per Se, Quebec, Canada, and we have had a blast, and never once, well, we'll tell you that story maybe once, have we had a problem getting across that border with our RV. And if you know the secret tips, the secret elusive stuff, well, it's not really secret. If you just know these things, you're going to get across the border without a problem. So here we go with the list. Carrie's got it, starting with number one.
All right, so before you even roll up to the window, turn off your music.
Now, that's right, Carrie. The first thing you don't want to do is upset the people at the booth. Now, on both sides of the border, the Canadian Border Patrol, as well as the Homeland Security here in the States, both agencies take their job seriously. They want to be treated with respect, and they also just want to get you through because their job isn't to hold you up. They're looking for the bad guys. Turn down that music, roll down those windows so they can see how many occupants are in that vehicle, and that will get you, at least in the start,
But
in their good graces.
importantly, have your documentation out and ready, meaning if you have your passports in a neat little case, you know, protected
A little
case,
pink little cover for it, yeah.
whatever, it's pretty.
Make sure
Take
they're out.
them out, make sure everything is readily available.
Because the last thing, again, they want to do is fumble and waste time with you at the border because they have bigger fish to fry than just somebody on a vacation.
The more time you waste of theirs, the more time they're going to waste of yours.
True story, and we'll get to that in a moment.
Is it?
Yeah. Next, Gary.
Be ready to answer random questions.
And we do mean random. Everything from where do you work to what are you doing here, how long are you going to be here, when was the last time you were here, what's your favorite food to eat while you're here. We have been asked that before crossing the border, and even so much so is when we used to cross the border all the time as New Englanders just to go, well, Christmas shopping, they would ask us, why are you shopping here when you could be shopping in the US? And sometimes you have answers for that, and sometimes you don't want to just say, hey, because we're two kids and we want to cross the border. Make sure you are prepared to answer any and all questions.
And it's not just the driver.
Absolutely. They've questioned our daughter. They've questioned Carrie. They've questioned pretty much any passenger at any time. It's just a random thing that they do just to see how much they can throw you off guard, because when you're thrown off guard, just imagine how much you will spill when you're caught off guard. There's somebody who knows all about my eating habits at one of the borders because I decided to tell them everything I was going to do there. Next one, Carrie.
Know what you're allowed to bring into Canada.
Absolutely. Did you know, for instance, Carrie,
Yes.
that if you are a smoker, you can bring up to 200 packs of your favorite smokes
imagine.
across the border?
That's a lot.
Or
That's expensive.
Not only is that expensive, but you can also bring over 24 bottles of beer, or cans if you prefer, your Keystone Light that way.
Of beer.
Or you can bring over 2 bottles of wine per person. You can bring over meats in certain classes. There's a list on the government websites for both Canada and the US that will tell you what's allowed in and out of the country.
Wasn't there cigars too?
Yeah, you can bring quite a few cigars if you want to be stinky Steve at the campground.
Oy.
You can bring those cigars into Canada.
Ugh.
And that's, it is common knowledge. A lot of it's on their websites. Do the research before you bring something in because, well,
Oh my.
what's the next one, Carrie?
Know what you can't bring in.
Now, we will cover really quickly that you cannot bring lettuce into the country of Canada. Why, Carrie?
Because Canada has some great lettuce.
They have their own, and as we've covered before, Canada, you know how to do things right. And that's just it. Now, keep in mind that no matter coming back into the border, into the U.S., that even though it is legal in some states, and you may be crossing into those states such as Michigan and Maine, it is illegal federally, and you will get busted at the border for bringing that lettuce over. So there's a lot of things. You don't bring that. You don't bring mace or pepper spray.
Nope.
Don't bring brass knuckles and knives over certain lengths. Again, this is all outlined.
You cannot bring fruits and veggies.
No fruits and veggies, but you can bring over bagged milk if you would want to.
Because that's cool. And you can't bring your own firewood.
That's right, and that's just a common sense thing.
Anyway.
But it is up on the government websites, just like you're not really supposed to bring firewood from one state to another. A lot of states have that law already in place. So do countries like Canada. They don't want your dirty U.S. firewood coming up into their pristine country.
Now, what happens if you bring a Fido, Oliver, or a Fifi?
Well, this is a pretty good point there, Carrie, and a great question to ask, as you will need to bring documentation in the form of veterinary records. You're going to need to bring that whole packet of goodness for Oliver across that border and make sure that it is all up to date, because if it's not up to date, you're not going across. Now, this is just covering the household pets. If you've got, I don't know, a gecko in your pocket, you might want to check with them in advance. But again, going over with household pets, make sure you have all that documentation, just like you should have for your kids.
Yeah. So when you're traveling and you're getting ready to go through the border and you have all your snack wrappers and your empty soda cans and water bottles, empty all that out before you get there. Make sure your vehicle's clean.
Now, as one, Carrie and I love when we go over the borders. We love to just talk and have a good time whenever they have a moment. We've asked random questions, such as what happens when you have a car full of filth, and they like to go through those cars full of filth, because that is
What are you hiding?
Yeah, a good indicator that there's something hiding in there. So you like to make sure that your car is clean. You make sure that all this stuff will save you a lot of time. As much as people think this is a joke and think it's funny, a clean car will get you through that border faster, especially if you have to go into secondary. Secondary is a random thing and they'll pull you aside, but if there's nothing to go through, you're quick and done and through the process. You got to go through grandma's Cracker Jack boxes from 1976 in the back of your Buick. It's not going to be a good sight or a quick turnaround experience for you.
So if you bring your RV into Canada, does that change like the process to going over the border?
You know, this is the thing about YouTube, right? Everybody likes to blow this thing out of proportion like it's some mystical thing traveling into Canada. And it doesn't matter if you're driving through Canada with an RV, if you're towing a boat, it doesn't matter anything. As long as you have your documentation and you have nothing to hide, you're not going to have a problem. Going through Canada with an RV was probably the easiest and least painful experience we've ever had. In fact, Carrie, we can say this unequivocally, that it has actually been an easier process crossing the border with an RV than it was just going for a weekend trip into Montreal. Every time that we crossed the border with an RV, it was quick, painless, and right through. Crossing the border in just a car as two people, we've had more questions and more problems than you can imagine.
Yep.
So again, don't believe all the thumbnails, all the drama as we've put in our thumbnail, because it is really, it's asinine at this point. Cross the border. It doesn't matter if you got an RV. Maybe if you got a canoe on wheels and you're just trying to paddle across the border, you might have a problem.
You might be questioned.
But an RV, hands down, people, come on, YouTubers, you can do better than this.
Can they though?
Well, next.
Anyway, landing in secondary. It's random sometimes, not just because they think you're guilty of something.
Now, is this the part where I get to tell the funny story?
Is it? Well, sure is.
So, ending up in secondary, there's a couple of quick ways to get there. One is be an idiot. Go through the thing and say, when they ask you, do you have any weapons? And you go, I don't know. That's going to end you up in secondary.
Not that I know of.
Do you have any drugs to declare? And you go, no, because I smoked them all just a minute ago. It's going to end you up in secondary. And there's a lot of little things that, you know, at the end of the day, a lot of the time, secondary is just random. You just happen to be whatever number they're picking from whatever lane that day to end up in secondary. There is no magical way to get around it. There's no, hey, I got to go to the bathroom really bad, so I need to get through here. You're going to end up in secondary. You're going to end up there. That is the case.
Yep.
And a funny story for you is Carrie and I have learned the hard way that if you want to travel into Canada and you have your high beams on because it's a rainy night and it's, oh, I don't know, 2 in the morning and you can't see and you bust those high beams on, not only will they meet you outside the booth, they will have guns drawn and they will reach in your vehicle to shut your lights off, and you are going to be there for quite a while explaining why you high beamed them through. And as we found out, because we couldn't believe this was a thing that happened to us, not only does this happen constantly, but it is also a common occurrence for bad guys to use high beams so that they can do whatever they need to do before they get across the border. It's a big red flag. You take away anything from this video, take away that, make sure those high beams are off.
It's scary, and it's very intimidating once you get over there because they don't care. They ask you a question and it's 1 word, 2 word answers and they move on. They want to hear, they don't want to hear. I'm so sorry, I didn't know. They don't give a flying
And I will tell you this, there is nothing more intimidating than a whole bunch of men and women with a finger outside the trigger of an assault rifle because you have your high beams on.
Yep.
And that's all you're trying to do is cross the border.
And then you cry and they're like, why are you crying? What are you hiding? Like, oh my, are you kidding me?
For the record, I didn't cry.
It's scary.
So really, at the end of the day, when we see all these videos about crossing the border, it's kind of foolish that it is dramatized as much as it is. Do your research, you'll get through without a problem. And you'll notice that we didn't touch the old subject of firearms in this video because I don't think you should be taking any firearm advice from any YouTuber, period. If you are taking firearm advice from a YouTuber, you should not own a firearm, period. Know your laws, do it the right way, you'll be fine. And oh, by the way, if you think you found a hiding spot that's going to get you something across that border, well, let me tell you, they know it, they found it, they knew about it before you even got there. Have fun in Canada. To our Canadian friends, we say hello, and we hope to visit you soon. For Life Redesigned, I am Bob.
I'm Carrie.
And we'll catch you
Next time.
Whoa, you said it.
Yeah.